He sees a lot of things in me that he can't stop. You know, not only does he see speed, does he see power, but he sees a lot of heart in me. Now I'm the one who has the power. Now I'm the one. Canelo said he doesn't fight. He fights for greatness. He fights for titles. Well, let me go pick up all the titles and let's come back into the
Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because what we're about to tell you is going to send shockwaves through the entire boxing world. After years of call-outs, trash talk, and what many fans have called the most frustrating will they won't they saga in modern boxing history, it's finally happening. Canelo Alvarez versus David Benavidez is officially confirmed for 2026. Yes, you heard that right. The fight that everyone thought would never happen. The matchup that's been...
Everybody, if you guys doubt me in anything outside of the boxing, never doubt my character, never doubt my competitiveness. You know, I have the spirit of a warrior, and I'm, you know, extremely excited to show you guys against all the best fighters in the world what I'm really made of, because this is what I'm here for. This is my destiny, and I'm not...
Brewing for over half a decade. The clash that could define an entire generation of boxing greatness is no longer a dream. It's real. It's official. And the boxing world is absolutely losing its mind right now. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, you've picked a perfect time to join, because we're about to break down everything you need to know about this monumental announcement. For years, David Benavidez has been shouting from the rooftops.
The thing about me and David Benavidez's stock, we have a lot of great fights on the table. And you guys know I'm going to take every single one of them. I'm not going to run from anything, because at the end of the day, this is my destiny. If it's my destiny to go through these hard fights and win these world titles, that's what I'm going to do. This is what boxing is about. I'm sick of seeing fighters getting the easiest fights just because they're getting the biggest paychecks. Like, it don't. At the end of the day, it's not even about money. It's about giving the fans of boxing the fights that they deserve. They're paying the money at the end of the day, so let's go to war. Let's do what these people want to see us do, and let's go to war. And make them...
Calling out Canelo Alvarez at every opportunity, demanding the fight that he believes will cement his legacy. And for years, Canelo has been moving in a different direction, taking on other challengers, building his empire, and frankly, making it seem like Benavidez would never get a shot. But something has changed. Something massive has shifted in the boxing landscape, and now, after all the anticipation, all the speculation, and all the frustration from fans worldwide, we're finally getting the fight we've all been waiting for. Let's rewind for just a moment and talk about David Benavidez.
Not a man that's not going to let anything outside the ring, you know, mess with his game. You know, since I was 3 years old, I've had one dream only. That's becoming the greatest boxer of all time, and that's exactly what we're going to accomplish. You know, and yeah, we're almost there, and we're going to keep going until there's nobody left to, you know, to...
Because this man has been on a mission. For 11 years, Benavidez has been in this sport, grinding, fighting, winning, and proving himself time and time again. But despite his undefeated record and his dominance in the ring, he's felt like the opportunities haven't fully reflected his talent. In a recent interview, Benavidez made it crystal clear how he's been feeling. He said, "I've been here for 11 years. I know my time will come. I'm keeping motivated because I believe I can be the best." And you can hear it in his voice, that unwavering determination.
Handle my presence is, he's definitely scared of me. You know, if you have a fighter talking so much trash in front of you, why don't you make an example of him to the world? Beat me in the ring and make a whole lot of money. But Canelo Alvarez, as you can see from every time he fights a guy that's big with power, like Bivol, you know what I mean? And he's not able to suppress these fighters as much as he's able to.
The hunger that refuses to be satisfied until he reaches the absolute pinnacle of the sport. Nothing can dampen his enthusiasm. Not the waiting, not the politics, not the business side of boxing that so often gets in the way of the fights fans actually want to see. Benavidez has stayed focused, stayed ready, and now finally, his time has come. But this isn't just about getting a big fight. For Benavidez, this is about proving something much deeper. He's entirely committed to his quest for greatness, and he genuinely believes that no obstacle can stop him from achieving his ultimate ambition.
To fight with me way back then, because if he had a chance to beat me, it would have been back then. He has no chance of beating me now, especially now. I'm getting all this confidence. You know, I'm stepping into my prime. You know, I'm able to deal with these bigger shows better. You know what I mean? I'm able to thrive in these shows. I'm able to, every time I fight, I'm always winning by a significant amount. You know what I mean? So I'm learning my craft better and better each and every single fight. I'm gaining more confidence every single fight, and like I said, I really want to go in there and hurt people. I'm not a boxer. I'm a warrior.
He's gone on record saying, "Everyone knows I am brave. I am determined and willing to fight anyone to earn my respect in the arena with unshakable confidence and unrelenting desire." Those aren't just words. That's a declaration of war. That's a man who's been waiting his entire career for this moment. And now that it's here, he's ready to leave everything in the ring. Benavidez has made it abundantly clear that his ambition is to be one of the best boxers in the world, and he's willing to overcome any obstacle that stands in his way to get there. Now, here's where things get really interesting. David Benavidez isn't just any fighter looking for a payday. This is a guy who's had high hopes and massive goals since he was a little boy.
I'd like to get your thoughts on Crawford's performance against Canelo, because he beat you to it. What do you think about how Crawford did?
First of all, I just want to give Terence Crawford a great congratulations. You know, he's reached a part in history that only so many fighters get to even accomplish in boxing. You know, he's one of the greatest.
He's been working relentlessly to achieve those dreams, believing with every fiber of his being that by working hard and defeating great opponents, he'll eventually rise to the top of the boxing rankings. But what sets Benavidez apart from so many other fighters is his mindset. He's more concerned with maintaining his composure and staying laser-focused on his profession than he is with engaging in meaningless trash talk. Don't get me wrong, he'll call people out when he needs to, but at the end of the day,
over is over, you know? And right now, I don't feel he should fight anymore. Look, he had one of the best careers any fighter could ever have. He's done everything he set out to do. What's next? To prove what? He has nothing to prove. He's already proved everything. And I think right now, the door is closed. He should shut it himself and say, you know what? I've had a great career. That's enough is enough.
So Benavidez fight doesn't catch your attention at this moment?
Benavidez believes that accomplishments, not rhetoric, determine true greatness. He stated that his greatest victory will be realized when the boxing community as a whole recognizes and applauds his efforts. And with this Canelo fight now confirmed, that moment is finally within reach. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. The primary headline that's been dominating boxing news for months, if not years. David Benavidez has repeatedly stated that Canelo Alvarez is frightened of fighting him. According to Benavidez, Canelo has continuously avoided this matchup, and the reason is simple.
By unanimous decision, you got that. You know, I just thought Crawford was too fast for Canelo. Too many combinations. Canelo doesn't jab anymore. He looked for one shot down. You know, I mean, the end is there for Canelo. And I just think that Crawford was too fast for him, you know, especially in the southpaw position. We all know Canelo have problems with the southpaw. So, you know, and that's why I picked Crawford. I just thought Crawford could be
simple. Canelo recognizes Benavidez's brilliance and competence, and frankly, he finds it too difficult to manage. Benavidez claims that Canelo struggles against powerful, large boxers, and he cited Canelo's performance against Dimitri Bivol as evidence of this. According to Benavidez, while Canelo is incredibly effective against smaller fighters, he's hesitant to take on larger, stronger opponents like himself because he fears the consequences. And honestly, when you look at the pattern of Canelo's recent fights, it's hard to completely dismiss.
Crawford is older than Canelo, so we can't use the excuse that he's older, right? We can't use the excuse that, oh, well, you know, he moved around too much. Well, it's your job to figure him out, right? Just like Chavez would figure out a fighter, just like I would figure out a fighter, just like any real great fighter can figure styles out. That's your job. I think Crawford did a tremendous job. Kudos to him. Sky's the limit for Crawford, and I really don't know where Canelo goes.
Missed that argument. But here's where the narrative gets even more fascinating. David has stated that if this fight had happened earlier in his career, Canelo probably would have won. Back then, Benavidez was still developing, still learning, still growing into the fighter he is today. He could have been defeated, but now everything has changed. Benavidez believes he has become an insurmountable obstacle in Canelo's path, and he emphasizes that Canelo now recognizes his power, his skill, and his will, which makes this fight so much more dangerous for the Mexican superstar. Benavidez is confident in his development, and he stated repeatedly that he's
When Crawford at 160, imagine that. Would be incredible. So there's a good possibility that Crawford will stay at 168. Most likely go down to 160. I don't think he's going to touch 154. I think he'll stay at 160 eventually and try to find the biggest fights possible. And the biggest fight for him would be
prepared to prove himself on the biggest stage imaginable. His resume already indicates his excellence, but his ultimate goal is to enhance it even further by dominating every single stage on his route to the top. Now, we can't talk about this fight without addressing the elephant that recently walked into the room and changed everything. Canelo's most recent loss to Terence Crawford, affectionately known as Bud. This loss sent shockwaves through the boxing world, and even David Benavidez had something to say about it. Benavidez recognized Terence Crawford as one of the greatest boxers of all time and complimented his incredible achievements, the kind that
I thought it was close. I had Canelo ahead in the early going, but I thought Crawford did an amazing job closing that fight down in the last few rounds, where he really started to back the supposed bigger guy up, although for me, they looked about the same size. But that was a brilliant performance, and what can you say? I mean, you got to give him his credit. He created a lot of history. He dreamt this fight. He willed it to happen. A lot of people, not me, but a lot of people laughed at him, said, forget about it, no chance against a bigger guy like that.
many fighters only dream of but never reach during their entire careers. Benavidez thought Crawford's ring performance was a total masterclass, exhibiting amazing dominance and technique that left everyone in awe. He emphasized that Terence experienced significant challenges in gaining weight to compete at that level, but he overcame it with remarkable poise and resolve. Crawford didn't just move up 3 weight classes. He defeated one of the best pound-for-pound fighters of this generation and defied the expectations of countless people who doubted his capacity to achieve such a feat. He accepted the challenge. He won decisively, and he cemented his position as one of
the winner of Eubank, and then to the Hamza Shiraz. I mean, those types of names. He's got mandatories. Mabili got the draw tonight in a great fight. There's other fighters that have belts and interim belts and blah, blah, blah. So, nobody's going to rush Terence Crawford into his next fight. He'll take his time, and, whatever the next fight is, it's going to be a big one because, his name is even greater now than what happened going into this fight for him. So he beats Canelo Alvarez,
boxing's greatest fighters. But what does Crawford's victory mean for this newly confirmed Canelo versus Benavidez fight? Well, it changes everything. While David Benavidez continues to challenge Canelo Alvarez and push for this matchup, experienced trainer Ronnie Shields has actually been encouraging Canelo not to accept it. In fact, Shields has stated that now might be the best time for the Mexican boxing star to consider hanging up the gloves entirely. He's described Canelo's career as exceptional, full of greatness and remarkable accomplishments that have already firmly established his reputation in the sport. Shields has gone on record saying he has nothing else to prove. According to the veteran trainer, it would be preferable for Canelo to retire peacefully and preserve his legacy than to risk another devastating loss in what could be an unpleasant fight against a hungry, dangerous opponent like Benavidez. And Shields isn't just speculating. He actually predicted that Crawford would defeat Canelo before their fight even took place. And after Crawford won, Shields provided a detailed analysis of the bout. He noted that he expected Terence's quickness to be too much for Canelo to handle.
He was 21, 22 years old. He had a lot of experience, I should say. He had a lot of boxing experience at his age.
40, 50 fights?
Huh?
He had 40 or 50 fights at that point, right?
40, 50 fights, but not just that. I'm talking about experience as far as knowledge about being the real, experience. Like veteran experience. Like he knew how to counter, he knew how to block and counter, do different things. So it wasn't like he was just an ordinary fighter. And I was like, and fighting him, I'm like, wow, he actually knows how to like, get away from stuff. He knows how to counter. He knows how to like, trick shots up.
And that's exactly what happened. Shields emphasized that Crawford's distinct fighting style and southpaw stance were his strongest weapons, and these tools effectively exposed and exploited Canelo's shortcomings in the ring. Shields praised Bud's strategic use of his skills, the way he capitalized on his opponent's weaknesses, and overall, he described the battle as a masterful exhibition of boxing technique and strategy. So when Shields says Canelo should think twice about fighting Benavidez, people are listening. But not everyone agrees with Shields' assessment. Oscar de la Hoya, the legendary boxer turned promoter, has taken a different stance. While Ronnie Shields advised Canelo to retire, de la Hoya has opposed this notion, claiming that Canelo should have entire control over his own career decisions. De la Hoya has suggested that if Canelo is ready to retire, then he should absolutely do so. But if he decides to stay in the game, he must choose his opponents carefully at this stage of his career. Reflecting on Canelo's latest bout with Terence Crawford, de la Hoya stated that Bud was simply too strong for him in the ring, and he went on to claim that Crawford once again demonstrated why he's the best at identifying fighting styles and adjusting his methods to beat them. De la Hoya has also weighed in on what Crawford's future might look like after his amazing victory. He's reminded everyone that Crawford's confidence has risen significantly with this win, giving him even more motivation to continue his career. In terms of weight classes, de la Hoya stated that Terence will most likely never return to 154 pounds. He prefers to compete at 168 pounds currently, though if a major fight came up, Crawford might consider sliding down to 160. Looking ahead, de la Hoya believed that Bud's best opportunity for a hugely entertaining battle right now would be against the rising star Vergil Ortiz, which could be an absolute war. Meanwhile, another major voice in boxing, Dan Rafael, has also provided his analysis of the Canelo versus Crawford fight. Rafael stated that the first few rounds were actually quite close, but he emphasized that Bud not only organized the battle strategically, but also carried it out flawlessly, ultimately defeating Canelo in convincing fashion. Rafael lauded Crawford's thinking and vision both before and during the bout, describing them as absolutely spectacular. He mentioned that many people had previously questioned Terence, citing Canelo's size and experience as significant advantages that should have tipped the scales in the Mexican fighter's favor. But Rafael emphasized Crawford's unwavering devotion, self-control, and determination, qualities that helped him secure a well-deserved victory on fight night. Rafael has also weighed in on what should come next for both fighters. He stated that while a rematch between Canelo and Crawford would undoubtedly be thrilling and would do massive numbers, it might not be the best course of action for either fighter at this point. Instead, he suggested that both men should take advantage of other big opportunities available to them at this stage in their careers. For Canelo specifically, Rafael has advised him to carefully consider the benefits and drawbacks before deciding on his next fight. And here's the thing. Rafael has stated that Bud's victory over Canelo has earned him tremendous respect, and many great fighters will be willing to challenge him moving forward. However, Crawford must carefully consider weight class, fight magnitude, and championship titles before selecting his next opponent. The options are plentiful, but the choices matter more now than ever. Now, let's take a moment to appreciate just how incredible Canelo Alvarez's career has been, because regardless of what happens in this Benavidez fight, everyone agrees that Canelo has had an absolutely excellent career. The Mexican icon has had one of the most distinguished runs in contemporary boxing, winning world titles in 4 different weight divisions and descending from a teenage sensation in Mexico to a global superstar recognized around the world. He established himself with victories against absolute legends like Shane Mosley, Miguel Cotto, and Sergey Kovalev. His triumphs demonstrate not only his devastating counterpunching ability, but also his flexibility and adaptability to a wide variety of fighting tactics and styles. Canelo's ability to constantly deliver on the biggest stages has made him one of the sport's most popular pay-per-view draws, consistently bringing in massive numbers and captivating audiences worldwide. Among his most notable achievements are his two epic battles with Gennady Golovkin, fights in which he showed tremendous heart and won the championship, and incredibly competitive bouts that went down to the wire. Canelo also established his legacy as the first undisputed super middleweight champion, defeating Caleb Plant and unifying all four major championships in one of the most impressive runs in recent boxing history. Beyond titles and belts, Canelo has taken on perilous challenges in various weight divisions throughout his career, never afraid to take risks and always willing to test himself against the best. His career exemplifies both longevity and quality, combining technical mastery with a battling attitude that perfectly embodies Mexico's great boxing legacy. These accomplishments have cemented his status as one of the finest fighters of his generation, and there's no taking that away from him. And here's something beautiful. After Crawford defeated Canelo, Bud made the classy gesture of returning the belts to Canelo, a move that demonstrates just how much respect he has garnered in the boxing community. It was a moment of pure sportsmanship in a sport that often lacks it. But on the other side of this equation, we have David Benavidez, who has established himself as one of boxing's most dominant super middleweights with an unblemished record and a reputation for relentless aggression and raw power. At only 20 years old, Benavidez became the youngest fighter in history to win the WBC World Championship twice, a record that speaks volumes about his talent and determination. He's demonstrated his abilities time and time again by defeating well-known opponents like Anthony Dirrell, David Lemieux, and Caleb Plant, building a resume that demands respect. He continues to develop and strengthen his career, and many people see him as the future face of the 168-pound category. So here we are, following the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford fight. The boxing world has been buzzing with curiosity about what would happen next. While some fans and pundits wanted a high-stakes rematch, others argued that both combatants should seek new challenges and fresh opportunities. The question of their next opponents became one of the sport's most heated debates, dominating social media, podcasts, and every boxing forum you can imagine. And with David Benavidez publicly challenging Canelo at every turn, many believed that this bout absolutely had to take place because of its immense appeal and competitive intrigue. On the flip side, some experts argued that Canelo should seriously contemplate retirement to preserve his reputation and legacy rather than risk future devastating defeats at this advanced point in his career. It's a legitimate concern. Canelo has nothing left to prove to anyone. He's accomplished everything. He's beaten legends. He's unified divisions. He's been the face of boxing for years. Why risk tarnishing that legacy? But ultimately, the big question that's been on everyone's mind is this: should Canelo Alvarez accept David Benavidez's challenge, or should he retire from fighting entirely to preserve his incredible career? And now, with the fight officially confirmed for 2026, we have our answer. Canelo is moving forward. He's accepting the challenge, and the boxing world is about to witness something truly special. Meanwhile, following his amazing victory over Canelo, the question remains: who will be Terence Crawford's biggest challenge moving forward? Would you prefer to see him face rising talents like Virgil Ortiz? Would you rather see him take on seasoned champions at 160 or 168 pounds? Or do you want another mega fight against a top pound-for-pound contender that could break all the records? The possibilities are endless, and Crawford has positioned himself perfectly to choose his own destiny. But make no mistake, all eyes are now on Canelo versus Benavidez in 2026. This is the fight that will answer so many questions. Can Benavidez back up all his talk? Can Canelo prove he's still the king? Will we see a passing of the torch or a legendary champion defending his throne one more time? The anticipation is already building, and we haven't even started the promotional tour yet. This is going to be massive, folks. Absolutely massive. So what do you think? Are you Team Canelo or Team Benavidez? Do you think Canelo made the right decision taking this fight? Or should he have listened to Ronnie Shields and retired? And what about Crawford? Where do you want to see him go next? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below, because we genuinely want to hear from you. This is history in the making, and we're all witnessing it together. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update on this incredible story. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.